Greetings and welcome to the Mount Rushmore podcast. I am Jeff, and I'm joined as always by my good friends Richard.
Hello.
And Michael.
Howdy.
And one very aggressive fly hovering around the Mount Rushmore podcast studios. We have eaten...
Me.
Oh,
Help me.
Brundlefly is here. We have eaten some Otter Pops recently and may be attracted to the sugar.
I'm attracted to the sugar. I'm ready to go, boys.
Oh.
Let's go. Let's go.
Why is he staring at me?
Get it.
Richard chose this week's topic, which is the Mount Rushmore board games.
I chose it because I love board games. I played a lot of board games as a kid with my family. Play a lot still today with my family, and board games are hella fun.
Did you have a... was there like a period of time between when like you were playing them as a kid and you started playing them with your kids where you didn't play them, or did you have like a sustained quasi adulthood playing board games with other friends?
Oh, sure, I did. Yeah. Well, I've always kind of played board games, whether it's with Sarah or with other friends. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Richard's topic. Michael's start.
I have 4 categories.
He's got categories
this
man.
week. I'm not going to read them all off, but I'll at the beginning. But I'll tell you the first one, which is the sure, I guess default board game that I guess we'll play. It's Monopoly.
Of course, also on my list.
Good. It's a game that is also kind of on the list of good idea, bad idea that we should play.
Oh, yeah.
Because like Monopoly always seems like it's a great idea to play, but always kind of ends up like, why are we playing this?
It's like singing Love Shack and karaoke or something. Kind of like, I don't know.
I love the mutability of Monopoly. I love that there are different versions. I was doing a little bit of research. 1,144 different versions of Monopoly as of June 2017.
Is one of them Pornopoly?
Probably, but just like I think it was more like branded ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like Jurassic Park Monopoly.
Like, under that bench is the AC/DC Monopoly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I have like a Star Wars Monopoly somewhere, a regular Monopoly. I own maybe half a dozen board games, and like 2 of them are Monopoly Monopoly versions.
You've been thunderstruck. Pay the bank $20.
But one of the things I really like about Monopoly is that just the idea of house rules exist.
Oh, yeah, their
Where
interpretation.
there are people that play like by the book, and then there are people that are like, well, any money that you pay into community chest or chance, that goes in the middle, and then
Free parking, yeah.
and then you land on free parking, and then you just get that money. And it's just like, wait,
Yeah.
who decided that? This is how we've always played.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
It's just, you always put peas in your tuna casserole.
Yeah.
That's your family thing. Doesn't apply to me.
it's such a generational board game that I think you grow into playing as a kid. You never like do well, and then eventually get better and better to the point where you're like, maybe that person's kind of cheating at Monopoly a little bit.
LA is such a real estate town, and I've applied the rules of Monopoly to my search for real estate. Like if I go around in an open roadster looking for properties, and 3 adjacent to each other, and I collect rent on those for a while until I tear them down and build a hotel on those properties.
I just buy railroads.
You do?
In 2018, that's where it's at.
There's 4 railroads.
There's 4 railroads
on
that
one block.
span the city, and I ride in my thimble. And I.
Were you ever someone that like developed like a Monopoly strategy when playing, or were you just kind of like, because I was never like, oh, you got to get the railroads, you got to get. I was always just like, whatever I land on, I'm probably gonna buy.
Yeah, just buy everything that you land on immediately, and then wind up with like $2 left by the end of the.
Yeah.
See, I don't know.
Count?
I never
Is
like
that a strategy?
I never really had a good Monopoly strategy. I just kind of played and just kind of figured I'd either win or lose.
For real rules, the property you land on, if you do not purchase it, the bank auctions it off to the.
Oh yeah, the auction.
Bid. Yeah, never played it like that.
Nobody plays that way.
Never. Me neither.
Did what you discussed, the customization and the ownership that families will have of Monopoly, and I was baffled to realize Monopoly was a folk game to begin with. Parker Brothers, or the person that they bought it from, merely commodified it and started selling it. It existed in the vernacular. The houses would have their own handmade, people would sell their own handmade Monopoly board, And it was at one point it was invented to help teach about the flat tax or something. Something
The
like
single
that.
land value tax.
Single land value tax. I'm fascinated by that.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Did we talk about? You didn't talk about the fact that Monopoly is the game most likely to get somebody in your family like really mad at you?
No,
Ours is, yeah.
It was always just one of those like. Ours never got to anger. It always just was just like, oh, let's play Monopoly. It sounds like fun, and then like halfway through, you're just like, it's been an hour and a half of this.
Yeah, Sarah's
Are we done yet?
Sarah's youngest sister, I should say little. She's got 4 kids coming up now, but her youngest sister got so mad at us one time playing a game. I think she may or may not have overturned the board.
Oh, that's classic.
That's also because we were making fun of her a
Yeah.
lot, just in general. But yeah, it is one of those games. It'll be fun to play 3 hours later. It's just somebody, okay, can we just count the money and see who...
Yeah.
I think only about 5% of Monopoly games are actually seen through to completion.
I did 2 times I've been delirious in games. One was
One was the game Delirious, which is a board game that...
we had finally about 3 years after it would premiered purchased an Atari, and I had the Asteroids cartridge and played it for about 36 hours straight, to the point where I didn't know what was real and what was...
He just started going around his room going,
Yeah.
pew, 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 pew.
And then Monopoly, I was winning on the rare moment that I was winning, and I was even stashing money under the... I don't know why I was stashing money under the board, because I wanted to hide all my winnings because I knew it would draw the ire of my brothers and sisters. And something had snapped in my mind that I thought, I get all this real money. Like real. I thought it was real. I was freaking delirious.
Did you think you actually were a flat iron at some point?
Scotty. Yeah, I don't know.
When we were in kickball years and years ago, I had started looking into doing a personalized studio kickball Monopoly set and looking into
Wow.
like the costs of that. Mostly is because it was like, okay, each team had a different color shirt,
Yeah.
and it was like, okay, well, you can just kind of like name the different properties after the different teams. And, they have like royal blue color on there and green, like great colors. Like, okay, ninjas on there with black and everything. Mostly it was because the 2 teams that wore purple in our league were terrible.
Oh.
And the purple are the lowest value.
Yeah.
And that was ultimately that was like the only joke that I wanted to be, was like the first square was pregnant cheerleaders, and the second square is like Duke City crackheads. As like the 2 purple ones, and ultimately it was just a joke about how awful they are. But then like the costs were just untenable, and it was just like no. And then eventually I realized, oh, I'm the only one that would actually buy this.
Yeah.
No one in the league actually wants this.
I love when you're the sole proprietor and the sole demographic of the... I am the supply and demand. Richard, what is your second choice?
All right, my second choice is the Game of War, Risk.
Oh.
A game I don't think I've ever actually played.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
It
Well,
was
I've got it in my car. I can go grab it.
Oh.
It was a game that like I remember my older cousins had, and they played, but I could never. I was like slightly too young to play it, and then
Okay.
I just never had a version of it and never played it at a friend's house. So I don't think I've ever.
See,
really
now
played
that's a game where having a strategy really matters. And your strategy is basically get Australia, collect 80 million soldiers in Australia, and then spread out to the rest of the world.
Okay.
Which I think is really how humanity spreads. I mean, oh wait, that was Africa. Very close.
No, yeah.
But it does give you a good idea for how the end of the world is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
There's just going to be millions of soldiers amassed in the outback somewhere, and no one's going to know about it.
Yeah.
And then one day they're going to just spread out across the world, and people are going to be like, "Where the hell did all these Australians come
Yeah.
from?"
Riding crocodiles.
So that's your strategy, or you can get like North and South America, because you get like the bonus for each continent. You get and just kind of like block all the waterways and stockpile. So that's one where it's fun because you can have these different strategies. I also enjoyed it as a kid because the playing pieces were Roman numerals. So since you've never played it, Michael, you get like
I remember seeing them. Yeah.
they get like little Roman numerals for each number
And a
of.
Scotty dog and a top hat.
No, that's
Different.
we already went through this, Michael.
You were raised Roman, is that right?
Yeah, so it was like going back home for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. What
Back when you were I years old.
Yes.
did you have a Oh, that's awesome. Did you have a particular skill, like because you could just crush fools on it?
Yeah,
Or- yeah.
pretty much. Once you got the strategy down, it was kind of like being a kid when you kind of realized, oh my god, and playing tic-tac-toe. Oh my god, if I just do this and this, I can never lose.
Yeah.
But being a little bit more grown up about it. Yeah, I do think that was the first game I remember being able to beat like my brother or my parents, like on the regs,
Yeah.
as the kids would say.
Cool. Michael, what's your second?
Under the category of a board game I didn't have, but always wanted to play at a friend's house.
Risk. I already said
Risk. It was this game called Oh, What a Mountain, and I'll show you a picture of it. It's a vertical board game where you'd kind of set up the board with it had these intricate pieces in the back that created like a little tunnel, and you basically, it's like you made your way up the mountain along a certain path.
And did you go yo? That's the cliffhangers
Right.
game from Price is Right.
Yeah,
That looks
the
like-
best game.
Just for the listeners, Michael has shown us the back of a McDonald's placemat.
It's tough to see. We'll post a picture of it, I'm sure, on the website or on
Is this
Twitter.
because you have an international parent of international parentage? Is this Dutch or
No,
European?
it was like a Milton Bradley game or
Okay,
something.
okay.
And it was a game basically where it was, had kind of a flat playing surface, but then it had like a bend in it that went vertical. So like when you played, you had these characters that had like a little pickaxe
Yeah.
that you kind of put them in the little holes and
Oh,
you'd move
fun.
them up the mountain.
Yeah.
And I think that we never had this. It was always at a friend's house, and it was actually my sister's best friend, Jennifer Less. They had it.
Oh.
So the chances of me playing it were
Yeah.
rare even then.
Yeah.
And every time we'd go over, or they'd babysit or whatever, it was like, oh, we have to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
I think eventually it kind of translated into that thing that happens when like your friend had a really good video game.
Yeah.
Later on, you're
Yeah.
just like, oh my god, we got to play TNC Surf,
Mm-hmm.
even though like it might not be the best game,
Uh-huh.
but my memory of this game is kind of it's kind of fused into that. It's just the essence of this game that like it was kind of special. It was like what going to Disneyland used to be.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Where like you only went every once in a while.
What you guys have been talking about? What makes a good game? Is it you talk about the playability? You even both mentioned
I think it has
graphics
I
and
think
visuals.
yeah, maybe maybe that's part of it as a kid. I think it has to be. I think there's two parts. One, maybe a little bit of strategy, but also kind of luck. If there's a game that like requires only strategy, I kind of tune out.
It's chess at that point,
Yeah,
which is not on my list because I'm terrible at chess.
it's not on my list because it's just like, I get it, chess.
I would have put checkers on ahead of chess.
But I think a game like Oh, What a Mountain is like you can kind of choose your path up the mountain. So there's a certain level of like one part had like a shorter route, but it was more dangerous. Or you could take the longer route, but you were less likely to get knocked back X amount of squares. So you could be risky and take the shorter route or just kind of eventually make your way up and hopefully hope that someone would get knocked down the mountain.
Yeah.
But I think that there's, luck with the roll of the dice, unless you're like using loaded dice or nobody. That's not a real thing. No one does that as a kid. But
If
like,
you grew up in Guys and Dolls the musical, you might
Or Jeff's house. I feel like in your house there may have been some loaded dice.
next to the brass knuckles and the
I think a really good board game has like, whatever the split is, 50-50 or 60-40 of like skill, a little bit of strategy, and like a little bit of just luck. Like random things happen. I think if random things happen, it makes it a lot more fun, especially for a kid, because you want to have that kind of surprise to it.
yeah. Did you win at this one?
Yeah, you have to get all the way to the top of the
Or
mountain.
did you win?
I'm sure I have.
Oh,
You
okay.
never played. I thought you said you never. Oh, it's something you
No, that
didn't
was
own.
Risk. I didn't own it. But
Okay.
Yeah.
always had to play it going over to our friend's house. But it was like I thought about this game for like years, and I'll have to like find like an old copy of it.
Do you remember going to like Toys R Us? Rest in peace, pour one out for Jeffrey. And go into the board game section, and how many damn board games there were.
Sure.
And you just saw those, and it was like that thing where it was just like, wow, I wonder what this game is like. It must have been like going to like a movie store or something like that, but it's even more of a sense of like sort of wonder about it.
Yeah. Maybe that's why people played Monopoly so much, because there's too much choice. It's like when you're on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
And you're just like, I'll just watch this.
Yeah.
Good Morning Vietnam's on again. I'll just.
There
kind of funny.
is so much of a gamer like a board game culture now, and think of Kickstarter. It seems like 90% of the things on Kickstarter are expansion packs or games, new games too.
Yeah, there's been a real rise in the indie gaming, which I think is fantastic. And I don't board game as much anymore as some of my friends are. I'm not into a lot of these indie strategy kind of board games. The ones that take like you and 10 friends can play for like. That's for the D&D crowd.
Yeah,
I'm more kind of like your standard sort of games. But I think it's great that these new indie games are out there.
And is it Tony's Darts Way? They have board games. There's a place called Guildhall down the street here. I think you can pull out a board game.
Yeah, it feels
there's like a board game bar. Yeah,
kind of nouveau hipster thing to do, to go and just play board games and drink.
This is Hipcast, the nouveau hipster podcast of choice. We are at our halftime. We invite you to make the game of the Mount Rushmore podcast your favorite game. You can be a player in it by going on to our Facebook page or Twitter or Instagram and suggesting a future topic and letting us know how you feel about the roll of the dice we've taken on previous topics. You can go to our iTunes and Stitcher pages, download, rate, and review all the past episodes. Give us a rating. We'd love 5 stars. And you can back up the whole idea of podcasts in general by supporting podcasts like this promo. And you can support podcasts in general like this one.
Hi, this is Isaac.
Oh, sorry, was I meant to come in there? And this is Declan.
Hi, this is Isaac.
And this is Declan. That was still too much of a pause, sorry. Because you end on an upward cadence. Like it's
Hi, this is Isaac. Should I sound friendly? Or like...
As opposed to what? Threatening?
Not threatening. I just... maybe I want to create a kind of space between us and the listeners. Hi, this is Isaac.
Oh no, that was horrible. That sounded like you were sort of turning me down for a date.
Hi, this is Isaac.
Now you're just leaving... You're a doctor.
The results are in.
Leaving bad news on the answer phone.
It's positive, but not in the way you were hoping. You can follow us on Twitter at That's a Shame Cast. You can visit our website, shame.city, where we post episodes every Wednesday and Sunday. And you can subscribe on iTunes. Enjoy the show. Nailed it.
Oh, no. Could we not just pay someone to do this for us?
I don't know. You'd have to have a good voice.
You're listening to That's a Shame with Isaac and Declan. Give us a taste.
And you can also help us help you by going to audibletrial.com/Rushmore, audibletrial.com/Rushmore, and getting something free. That's a free audiobook when you sign up for a 30-day free trial. Audible has 180,000 titles and more to choose from. You can choose all kinds of things to listen to. Why, you could even choose this book, which is... The Monopolists, Obsessions, Fury, and Scandal Behind the World's Favorite Board Game by Mary Pylan. You could listen to that on Audible with over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. You're sure going to find something you like. And if you don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to return it. You can just cancel your trial after 30 days, and you get to keep the book. So go to www, because I'm still saying that, audibletrial.com/Rushmore, and get your free book.
Is there an HTTP : / there too?
Well, it's an FTP. I don't know why they went that direction.
Huh, strange.
This is the Mount Rushmore of board games. It's Richard's choice. It's fun to discuss. And Richard, it's now your third.
Okay, so my third one is probably the game I have played more than any other game, and that's Scrabble.
Oh, wow.
A game that has now become sort of you mentioned the word hipster obsession, I think, or the words hipster obsession a while ago. Mm-hmm. It certainly has become something it's a cult phenomenon, or I don't know exactly what you want to call it.
Yeah.
But there is this, community of hardcore Scrabble players.
Yeah.
I know there was the book Word Freak. I don't know if you ever got a chance to read that. I would highly recommend it. Stefan Fatsis is about him kind of doing a deep dive and into the world of competitive Scrabble.
Okay.
And like trying to like compete and learn how to compete in tournaments, and like it's just insane how much research and memorization that you have to do to be able to be a elite level Scrabble player.
Yeah.
I am not an elite level Scrabble player, but I am a pretty good Scrabble player.
Is this Richard as a child thinking he's a pretty good Scrabble player, or Richard as an adult?
This is me as an adult being a pretty good Scrabble player.
You did wave hello to me, and 23 wooden tiles fell out of your shirt sleeve. So
they're all blank tiles, and I think he's cheating.
Shh, guys.
How many Z's and Q's can someone have?
QUITE fell out again?
What is the enjoyment that you get out of it?
Because I'm good with words, and I it's one of the few.
No, you're stumbling now.
Because
that's not a
caught
word.
me cheating. Yeah, no, that actually is a word. If you're a Scrabble expert, you know it's a type of lava from Hawaii. Just because I think it's one of the few games where it actually rewards
intellect
versus, I mean, you mentioned luck, and there is an element of luck to even to Scrabble, just in terms of what letters you pull out. There's very few things that are more frustrating than pulling out round after round of like having 6 vowels in your rack and just getting stuck having to play AE over and over again.
Yeah, they're all just names of things in Hawaii at that point.
Yeah, pretty much. I like that there's an element of balderdash that's involved in it, and not the game balderdash.
Yeah.
But the fact that you can play a word that's not a word, and if the other person doesn't challenge it, it counts.
Okay.
See,
that's still cheating.
I think that feels like there should be a level of honesty there when you play.
No, it's part of the gamesmanship. It's part of the.
If they don't call you on it, that's on them.
That's not cheating. Yeah, that's.
I guess so. I think of the Ouija episode of
The Simpsons.
The Simpsons, the large, bald, hairless ape,
right,
or something like that.
And this is a game that I actually will not play with people who aren't good at it, because people who don't play a lot, they just play it like a crossword.
How do you spell snob?
MEME
MANF.
because they play it like a crossword, like it's across and down. They don't do the thing where you can do like a set of tiles like horizontal on top of each other, or like vertical on top of each other, and make like a bunch of 2-letter words along with that thing. And Sarah and I teamed up against two of our best friends from college. We were playing couples, and
I never thought I'd be writing one of these letters.
I got the S and the X. I just need an E. And they're very smart people, engineers.
Yes.
Yeah. Smarter than us. And we started playing with them, and they were just doing that where they were playing like straight across, and we started doing like this top and bottom and getting 50 points out of like a 3-letter word because you got the X on the triple letter and it's going twice. All that stuff. And yeah, they got mad. You could see they were getting mad, and it just wasn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
And it's one of those games where I think, unlike, and it's on my Rushmore because it's my favorite game, but also because it's one of the games where there can be a very distinct talent gap.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be so good at Monopoly that the other person can't win.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Have you ever played a game called Upwards?
Yes.
I used to like that because we had that. We must have had Scrabble as well, but we had Upwards, which I remember playing a lot more, where you can put a word down and then you can put a tile on top of it to change the word from like dog to fog or whatever, something simple like that. I like the mutability of that game. I guess that's what I like in board games is that, like, when things they can be different or they can be changed to your own home rules. But Scrabble's an interesting choice. I think with a lot of these board games, I think what I like about them is like it feels like you should be on the same playing field, a level playing field in a weird way. And when like you go into it being purposefully deceitful, I think it kind of takes away something. It's like when someone's cheating at Monopoly. It's like,
well, it's not, but it's not cheating.
But if you know that like a word isn't a real word and you play it and someone doesn't call you on it, that's like,
it's gamesmanship, because if you do get called on it, you lose a turn, and that's really bad.
I would say my beef with Scrabble was it purports, to the layperson, it purports to be a game that you play with language. And the reality is it's words. And it's words you'll never use in the English
And
dictionary.
that's if you read the Word Freak book, they actually talk about this, that most of the Scrabble guys don't know like 90% of the words that they play.
Yeah.
They just know that they're words. It's like, it's a string of letters.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the actual language.
Mm-hmm.
And that there were like really good Scrabble players who didn't speak English or didn't speak like really fluent English because you don't need to, as long as you can memorize the words.
Yeah. So
How about a version of Scrabble where
With
you
numbers?
where you have to like write a sentence as you're playing.
Oh.
Like you have to continuously
Use it in a
update
sentence,
the thing as a sentence, or
Mm-hmm.
let's invent this game.
All right, indie board game. Let's get it going.
Nail
It does seem like if you were at a wedding reception and everyone broke off into individualized choreography versus just we're all here dancing
Yeah.
together. So
Yeah, I can see that.
yeah. Okay, Michael.
My next category is Rube Goldberg meets Russian roulette. I couldn't think. I just wanted to talk about Mousetrap.
Mousetrap's a good game, yeah.
Mousetrap is wonderful. It's the game that I'm most excited to play with Felix when he's old enough.
Yeah.
Mostly it's to get.
Oh, that's the biggest choking hazard you've ever had.
Well, Felix is a pretty bad choking hazard.
it's currently keeping like the ball bearing industry going.
Yeah.
That, by the way, it would be on my top of my games that I only got to play friends' houses and really enjoyed. I wished we had.
I loved Mousetrap as a kid. Obviously,
I never played it. I never truly played it. I just assembled it.
You just put it together and then
yeah.
ran the thing and then
Yeah.
I was reading that they've kind of updated the rules a little bit and made it a little bit more challenging, because it used to be that you'd go through and kind of around the board, and eventually you'd assemble the pieces to make the ball roll down the rickety thing and knock the bathtub over, and the best part was the old man diving backwards into the whatever, make to create the actual trap. And I guess they've updated the rules so that there's a little bit more strategy involved, where you have to steal someone's pieces of cheese. That I think they realized, okay, it was a game where you were playing it like Jeff did, where you just kind of put it together and watched it go, versus let's turn it into an actual game where you actually have to. It's that strategy and luck thing. Because how many times would the trap be incomplete and somehow it would get triggered and someone would get caught? I don't know. I'm trying to search my memory for if that ever happened. If you could finish the thing off before it actually was fully complete. If you could.
I never played it the right
trap.
way. I feel like a schmuck. I never did.
But it's like a fun, great building game for kids, and I'm just stoked when I get to play it. Do you guys own it now?
No, we don't. We're not in the 70s. We don't own it.
Richard, what's your final choice?
Okay, so my final choice, I mentioned in last week's episode, I spent a lot of time at home by myself as a kid. And so
oh no, this isn't a game. Don't pull it out.
In the constant fight against boredom, my favorite game to play was Statis-Pro baseball.
Whoa, cool.
And it was it's on my list because it's one of the few board games that you can play as a single player. So I'll show you the board here. Let's flip this around. Look how complicated that son of a bitch is.
Wow.
And it was a board game. It's a board game. You can see I have the board of an actual Major League Diamond with all of this crap over here. And you would set up giants on one side. You'd have
oh, you poor sweet child.
You would have cards that would be like represent each of the players and their stats and everything. You could do Dodgers versus Giants or whoever. Then you had these cards you had to flip to figure out what the result of it was going to be.
For the listener, I'm viewing something that looks like if the IRS invented baseball.
And the board. So you would have to like flip a card and it would say, okay, the pitcher got the ball over the plate. Then what happened? What was the outcome of the result? Okay. I go on this guy's card. It says 26.
Jeff, this is playing Magic the Gathering by yourself. This is so sad.
And then you would like look up. Okay, well that's a fly out to the center fielder. Then you'd have to say, I'm going to tag up the guy on second. So you'd have to look at the card of the center fielder to see what his throwing arm is, and the guy on second, you have to look and see what his speed rating is. Then you'd flip another card and then use one of these 87,000 things that are printed on this board to then see whether or not the guy got thrown out.
Oh, man.
These games took longer than actual baseball games to play. Look how long it took me just to explain roughly and very poorly how to play, like, get one at bat.
What does Statis-Pro mean?
It was just I have no idea. It was just something I think that was invented. I think they wanted something that said stats on it, but sounded cool.
I could never play that. I get confused by like baseball darts. Like that throws it off for me. I'm always like, I don't know.
My ghost.
Did it
Man,
get
Yeah, here are some of the charts that they have on there. Bunting for a base hit, squeeze play, defensive option play chart, advancing on fly ball option, variable factor for left versus righty.
So this extended your illness by years. Just this game.
There was Munchausen syndrome at some point.
You know, at the end of War Games, instead of playing tic-tac-toe, they should have loaded this into the Whopper and let that run. That would have taken
Just
a year
would've
to just be like, it would have been like,
Shorted the damn thing out is what would have happened. And I would sit here and I would run like whole like mini seasons and tournaments and things like that. And it would come with like an actual baseball like score book, and you could keep score. And
Wow.
I had like ledgers of stats for the whole season. Because God knows none of my friends actually wanted to play this game with me. Hey, you guys want to play this game? It's super complicated. It's like baseball, but even more boring.
So
we'll pass on
Is there a
that, thanks.
die or even a marble?
No,
or
there's like these fast action cards, and they're the cards that you flip over that have these numbers on it. The numbers correspond to different actions. It's like D&D baseball.
Wow.
It's fantastic.
Do you have the game today?
I have the football version of it,
Oh,
which if you can imagine how exciting the baseball version is.
wow.
And then I have
he has the soccer version of it where it's just like, he's passing back, he passes.
it
he
went out
passes
of
the ball.
bounds.
He threw in the ball. Oh no, his arm strength wasn't good enough.
There's a big online community for this, and there's actually like software set up so you can just play it without needing the board anymore.
Yeah, it's just called RBI
Kids
baseball.
these days, they'll never understand.
It's funny that you ended with a personal one because I have another personal one.
Okay.
And this is under the category of the game that you've only ever played once, but you won to
Ooh.
the ire of the people that you played it with.
Is it Payday?
It's not. It's called Girl Talk Dateline.
OMG.
The New Year's Eve.
You guys are making fun of me for my baseball bullshit here.
New Year's Eve, 1996 to 1997. I went over to my friend's girlfriend's house for like New Year's, and it was just like I was in college. I was home from college, and it was really like low key. And there's just like four of us. It was me, my friend Eric, and his girlfriend Emily at the time, and her best friend Amy. And you know, as people who are too young to drink at her like mom's house, and like Eric and Melanie and Amy were still in like high school. It was just like, okay, we're just hanging out and playing board games. We played like Candyland, and then out came the Girl Talk Dateline, and it was like kind of in that vein of Mystery Date, where you're kind of just trying to it's like you're trying to match up the proper date.
A dateline is a phone? Is it a phone?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So it had a special thing that you had to plug these little cartridges in.
Oh, wow.
And then connect it to a like tape player. It had a tape player attachment.
Yeah.
And if there was a match, you could match up, let's say Nicole and Brad.
Wow.
Nicole loves summer vacation and romance stories. Brad loves surfing. James Dean, he hates gossip and small talk.
So Nicole looks like she lost out on the role of Blair on Facts of Life, and Brad looks to be about 40 and a porn star.
Yeah. But as you see, all these little chips at the bottom that you plugged in, if you can game the system and like just recognizing that the things match up. Also, of course, like any good 90s, late 80s era board game, you had to make fun of nerds.
Homer is not a nerd name.
But Gert.
Gert, as a girl,
Gert.
definitely
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. So the entire game was just trying to find the right matches and whoever could do it first or whatever. It's inconsequential, the game itself. It's the idea that you could go over to someone's house and beat them at their own game.
Yeah.
That just
Literally beat them at their own game.
Just leaves them just like fuming. I can't believe. And this was a game that like Melanie and her friend would like play all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And just
You come
Some
and own them on
schmo
it.
came in, ruined the night.
So who was Melanie and her friend? That's your girl you're seeing, or
Eric was dating Melanie.
Okay.
You guys have met Eric.
Yeah.
And then her friend Amy, who I would later go on to date. So the girl
Okay.
that hated
yeah, I was
me.
gonna say, did you get laid that night because you won? No, I didn't think so.
But it was like a relationship came out of it. Girl talk date line. But it's funny to see that there are some games that are just also so specifically gendered
Yeah.
towards girls or
Yeah.
teen girls or whatever. And I don't remember there being like a lot of specific boy gendered games, but maybe there were, and I just don't. I can't.
Yeah, it's
I
called
can't.
throwing dirt clods at each other.
I can't. Maybe I just can't. Maybe I just played them. I just didn't recognize them at the time. It's like, oh yeah, I was told it was like a boys' game. I don't know.
Yeah, I think boys are playing sports.
Statis-Pro baseball.
Status
There
Pro,
you go.
Yeah. How did you feel? You didn't feel embarrassed that you won the girl game?
I don't know. I was 18,
Yeah.
probably, maybe a little bit, but like who? It was.
Yeah.
It was just a thing. It was
You were
just
playing
like,
ironically, and you still kicked their ass.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Good way to put it.
Yes, this is a fun topic. It reveals so much about you as individuals, but I'm not going to psychoanalyze. I'm just going to pick some things. I guess it's ubiquitous. We'd probably pick Monopoly for our Mount Rushmore. And Richard, I don't think you're alone in your love and for Scrabble, and I think I join you in my hate for Scrabble just because I'm so bad at what you need to be good at to win
Then
that
I
game.
will never play you.
It wouldn't even try. Mousetrap I had as a kid, so I love that. And Oh What a Mountain sounds like a fun game, and the pure joy that board games can deliver, you experienced in that game. So I think that's what makes this category so fun. This has been the game of life. Me, Richard, Michael, we're just every day spinning that wheel, trying to move ahead.
Try and get a couple of babies in the car.
Yeah, get a couple babies in a car. That's life. And
That was fun when you
uh,
could play the stock market in that game,
yeah.
by the way.
That was real stock, actual stock.
They're actual stocks.
Yeah. This has been the Mount Rushmore podcast. I'm always Jeff.
I'm Richard.
And Michael.